Welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Wilbourn Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick to review last night's AEW Dynamite. Another good show.
Another really, really strong show. Some awesome moments on it. Again, another sense of just momentum and form. I described this on Twitter, come X. Forgive the soccer analogy, but it just feels post All In that AEW is just having a string of comfortable league results without any major games. Just victory after victory after victory, just racking up points, just racking up goodwill, racking up momentum, racking up, just this idea that we're kind of back and we are bang in form and it's the best promotion in the world right now. That has, it's obviously not a bad thing at all when you've got this sort of like a set of easy fixtures, if you like, where you're not under any particular duress. You're just comfortably winning. And comfortably might be the key term because, there's a major test on the horizon with Forbidden Door, which doesn't really feel particularly forbidden. It doesn't feel as big as...
6-pointer.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel as big as All In. So that might be a tricky one to navigate. And there's not, in the part of like the comfortable league win against opposition you're expected to beat, is like there's no real jeopardy. There's no sense of, oh God, I'm desperate to win this one, or I really need this show to be great, or whatever. It's kind of an expected result, which doesn't necessarily make your entire week or make your entire weekend, or you don't get any glory celebrating. Yes, I was looking forward to turning this over. It's not like a huge high stakes period where you've got a lot of emotional investment in it. It just happens to be really good all the time. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%. I do, yes. Yeah. I'm just trying to pinpoint what the teams are that, without disrespecting them, that we'd judge as these sort of fixtures that AEW's had. And for some reason, I landed on Fulham. I was like, I reckon you'd be happy with the result against Fulham, but it's not like season rest on this game. Which is ironic because of obviously the Fulham connection to Tony Khan. By the way, before we get into this, but before I forget, obviously last night they were at the Woolstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, we struggled with this yesterday.
I tried foreskiing.
Yes, well, Matt Steele has emailed us, the wonderful Matt Steele. Who's
sounds like a porn star, so this sounds exactly like his area of expertise.
Matt is also the guy behind the bits list. We don't do bits, but Matt very kindly collects 25 pages of the bits that we do. And Matt says, since you and Sidgwick appeared to have some trouble... So it's the Woolstein Center. Might I suggest the Swolpeen Center?
I like that, like an erection.
Thankfully, Matt also clarifies, as in swollen penis, since I know you don't always get sexual innuendos.
That's nice of him.
The other option I thought of was the Holstein Center, like vagina or asshole or something. I think the previous one was better. Matt also says... The theoretical bits list is being updated. A new version will be sent over after the conclusion of Wacky Summer, which we're in, of course, which is why I'm placing here today.
Indeed. So if I was to, imagine Dynamite as a plate of food, and I was to then eat said plate of food, and I was satisfied, which I was because it was a really good show, I would probably say something like, "Bouch!"
Right, let's get into
this. Episode is dedicated to Big John the Bosch Father. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, follow this dude on Twitter. It's the best.
So we go to the Swolpeen Center for Dynamite, and we get the usual introductions and running through the card and what have you, and then we see MJF backstage holding his newly won CMLL light heavyweight title, which he calls the world title, of course, and he says, "Seabiscuit! Because you won't give me a title shot, I have to wait, and one of your best friends is going to pay for it. Mark Briscoe's afraid he won't see his brother in heaven because he wants to kill me. Well, he's looking into the eyes of the devil. and I've got no problem sending him back to hell or worst, dumpster Delaware.
Or worse. Love that.
Where he'll be stuck being a chicken farmer and a blue-collar bitch. He says he's not championship material. He's not a real man. He's white trash that got lucky, which is why the fans cheer for him, because they pity him. And MJF, to conclude, said tonight is the night his luck runs out.
You forget how good a promo this dude is.
Yeah.
Just the rhythm, the composure, the poise, just the fact that he presents himself. Just every week it becomes like normalized. You'd lose perspective.
Spoiled, aren't we?
Yeah. This guy can just talk so brilliantly. And it's about time AEW in general started doing this. Like their usual thing of, well, coming up on the show tonight, and then there's the lower third in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. These matches. And too often it feels like the one that you see last just happens to be the last match on the show as opposed to our main event. So I'm always in favor of AEW doing something like this. Go even further and do it more frequently for me. Like, make your main events matter.
It's appointment, isn't it? It's like, if you've just happened to have seen this or you've tuned in tonight and
you don't watch every week.
Yeah. Make sure you stick around, because at the end of the show, you're getting this. This is the big thing we're building towards. We've got all this other exciting stuff to happen, and then boom, this is your...
It just makes a match just feel more important. Like, we do criticize Tony Khan for not... I think he's a really great booker, not as hot promotion-wise. I mean, he's just done All In, with which he did a fantastic job, but you've got every single week you've got to build things to be big, and they did it last night, to be fair.
They announced after we did the preview that there is going to be the opening match here, Jon Moxley versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Before we talk about the match, did you see the clip from socials of the run-in between MVP?
Yeah, very good.
Mike Bailey, nice touch, that one.
Indeed. I saw the
GFY was being said quite a lot.
Yeah, I saw the discourse as well of, like, how could you not work somewhere or, coexist in the same environment with other people for a long time and not develop an irrational dislike of somebody. It just happens to everyone.
I feel personally attacked by that, but still, we'll move past it. Mox versus Bailey starts us off. Bailey immediately flies in.
Have you ever had, like, not WhatCulture, obviously, we all get along famously, but in previous jobs, just like an irrational dislike of someone who just hasn't really done anything wrong. You just think they are a knob.
Yeah, there's certainly been people that you're like, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to have to force conversation with you whilst I wait for a kettle to boil.
I'm a man who specializes in rational dislike of people.
Yes.
So I've always got a rational reason. So I don't think I have actually, you know what? I do have an irrational dislike of someone who just, I can't stand their vibe. Probably, I'll think about it idly in the background.
Okay.
And I'll expose them.
So Bailey flies in whilst Mox is presumably on the lookout for Darby Allin, because he was just sort of scanning the crowd as he's made his entrance and what have you. But Moxley rakes the eyes and takes over, dodges a handspring, but Bailey comes back with a drop kick, floats over in the corner, goes for his moonsault. Mox simply went bonk, right in the eye. Yuta takes the ref, and Shafir sweeps out Bailey's leg on the outside. She sort of waited for perfect timing when the ref definitely wasn't looking to take him out.
I like that attention to detail.
Kevin Knight, gets in her face, or they get in each other's faces. Mox slaps Kevin Knight, and all this allows Bailey to recover and hit a moonsault, drape Moxley over the barricade, and I've seen the fan footage of this, which make it look even better. It's a standing moonsault, double knees to his back, heading into a break.
Oh my god.
Excellent.
Looks like it absolutely sucked to take, but yeah.
It looked like it struck him and grazed and scraped him at the same time.
Horrible.
Awesome.
When we come back, Mox has been bending. I saw this in the sort of picture-in-picture, or and you could see him just bending the. There's no work in that, is there? He's literally just tell me if I'm actually going to break your finger here. He's just bending his fingers and trying to bite them and stuff when we come back. But Bailey comes back with kicks and a missile drop kick. He lights up Mox with more kicks, hits a shooting star to get a near fall. Moxley tries for a rear naked choke, but Bailey spins out, arm breaker, shooting star press for 2. Gets a cross arm breaker and a triangle choke. Mox sort of powers up, but Bailey gets a Hurricane Rana. Back to the arm breaker. They trade some near falls. Bailey popped up into another moonsault, double knees. Knight and Shafir are again arguing on the outside. The ref distracted means that Yuta can trip up Mike Bailey. Moxley hits a suplex. Bailey kicks out, and Darby Allin appears behind Wheeler Yuta, puts a rag on his face and kidnaps him, dragging him to the back. This distracts Moxley. Bailey gets a great near fall from a flash roll-up off the back of that.
I thought that was the finish.
Me too.
Awesome.
Bailey goes back to the arm breaker, but Moxley spins out, puts him in a choke, and then spikes him with the Death Rider for the 1-2-3 before the Death Riders run out to check on their friend who's been kidnapped.
I thought this was incredibly refreshing, excellent TV wrestling. This might have been my favorite match of the night. I know that another match later on got more plaudits from what I've seen on socials and in reviews this morning, but I thought this was tremendous. Like, so often we see that back and forth match where everyone's got a counter to everyone else's move, and it's this sort of slick dance, if you like, where everyone's sort of competing on an even keel with similar skill sets, and it leads to these very intricate chains of a sequence. Not here. This was so cool as a styles clash, and it really spoke to my love of like stylistic difference. So much of pro wrestling these days is homogenized, leading to the type of match I've just described. This was Jon Moxley woefully ill-equipped to deal with what Speedball Mike Bailey could bring. He couldn't do, because like the thing about Moxley is that he's a scrappy brawler who's dirty. Some of the stuff he does in there is disgusting, hard-hitting, like viscerally uncomfortable. But he's not particularly athletic. He's got stamina. He can go for ages. He's tough, but he's not like this unbelievable athlete who can, you know, use that area to counter whatever his opponents do. Like sometimes it looks, and this is a feature, not a bug, it looks almost clunky. Some of his bumping can look clunky. And I loved how he's just got a different style that sets him apart. Mike Bailey does have that sort of hybrid, homogenized, depending on like how cynical you want to be about it, but he can work that. Again, he's just fantastic as well.
I like the bit where, like you say, Speedball, aptly named, has been flying around all over the place and, you know, hitting these like double knees moonsaults or whatever. Mox finally gets hold of him. He's like, right, I'm going to choke you out now. And suddenly, I'm in an arm breaker.
Yeah.
You can do that too.
Yeah, I like, the story of, oh, hang on, you know, as a guy who's into martial arts, there's a different sort of, it's not just karate. There's like different dimensions of like that discipline that he can exploit. And Moxley's like, oh, I'm swarmed here. I'm swarmed. I'm just going to have to fight dirty. I can't, my kicks don't look as clean or as beautiful or as athletic. I can't get the height. I don't have the great vertical leap. What I can do is break your fucking fingers. And I'm just going to do that.
I really like the eye poke for some reason as well. Not the eye rake. The eye, it's like, it just looks like a proper bunk.
I have this thing with modern pro wrestling when you watch enough of it, as I have, you know, for the job, for pleasure or whatever, where you have this match and it happens every week. And at some point you just, unless it's perfect, unless the heat's there, unless it's like really well done and dramatic, you do just watch some moves happening and think, why are you even bothering doing this move when you know it's going to get countered? And in 2 minutes, the momentum's going to shift. And then in 30 seconds, the momentum's going to shift. And it just feels a bit blurry. I loved how this match was beautiful when Bailey was on the advantage, and then really disgusting and rough and scrappy when Moxley. I just thought this was fantastic. Really, really, really well done. And the interference, which we see so much of, and again, it's yet another thing that just you become numb to, was handled to, again, like near perfection. Like the Shafir thing, it's like, on one level, it was almost jarring that she took as long as she did to make sure, is that ref? Occupied. It paused a lot here. Right now I can sweep the leg because there's not much in the way of punishment, fines, getting sent to the back or otherwise. And to be fair, like, I'm not criticizing the layout, Shafir, Moxley, whoever was responsible for this very deliberate wait, if you like. Because I thought that's how you should do it. That's how it should be done. Right, no risk of disqualification on me getting thrown to the back here right now. I can do it. Because Shafir operated here as if the referees are incredibly shrewd and smart and attentive. Not the case in AEW at all. This should be the model for this sort of spot going forward. I thought it was really fantastically handled. Just an extra detail that just got me more involved in it. Like, every little detail in a pro wrestling match and on a pro wrestling show matters. And this idea that it was Remsburg, was it?
I think so.
I can't remember who it was, but it doesn't really matter. But the referee is right. Do it now. And the Utah stuff, which we'll go into now, was just tremendously done.
Yeah, we'll get back to, there is a timeless Toni Storm, Alex Windsor interview, but it feels like we should just keep talking about this for the time being because it immediately came after that. They're in the back. They find a body bag, let's be perfectly honest, and pull him to safety before he is killed by Darby Allin.
Just a bit of his skin scraped off.
Yes.
Not killed. This is not an attempted murder. It's fine.
Darby Allin speeds off in his truck and they unzip the body bag and Yuta has a sign on his forehead that simply reads Forbidden Yow.
Love the visual. I like how it was like an off-screen thing because I reckon if you'd seen this whole thing play out, I know Darby's done they did a similar thing with them way back when with Darby Allin when he was feuding with Team Taz and they actually showed you him getting dragged.
I remember
along Daly's place in the body bag. And it was like, oh, Jesus Christ. You can only think of the skin getting blistered and shredded as he was
do something with Ethan
off.
Page on the Indies in a body bag, or if I misremembered that.
He's done lots of stuff in the body bag, like with Brian Cage, with the nails inside.
That might be the one.
They've done the stunt where he's been dragged in the body bag via a vehicle. But it's Darby. He's like, he can do stunts perfectly. I reckon if you'd seen this, it might have looked hokey. I like the idea that they did it all off screen, with the idea being you can fill in the blanks of what happened. And in your head, because you're not seeing the wires, it looks perfectly done. On I thought this was a really cool little angle, a way to do it. It ain't forbidden, this door. It's so canonically AEW, this show, bar that one women's four-way, so far anyway. And again, we talked about this on the preview. You can't do AEW versus New Japan matches and expect it to sell at the floor of pay-per-view buys that AEW needs at this point. It ain't going to happen with New Japan these days. Do they need to scrap the entire thing? The timing of it, not in parallel with the G1, but so close to the G1, is less than ideal because obviously you can't have the key New Japan guys, or what's left of them anyway, come over, shoot angles, because they're all occupied in the G1, which is ongoing as we record. But it's not Forbidden Door. So far, anyway.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, selfishly, as someone who's going to Forbidden Door, I was ecstatic to find out this. I thought, they're going to probably put this on All Out. So they may well run it back at All Out, obviously. But I was like, Darby versus Mox. Thank you very much.
Some sick stuff in that match.
Yeah, it's already looking like a really exciting card. And if you're going to Forbidden Door, don't forget to get your tickets for Sweet Chin Disco for the after party at the Indigo 2. Or if you're going to the AEW Dynamite show in Glasgow, we're doing one there as well with Swerve and Nana and Nigel McGuinness. So do join us for that, dice.fm, if you want to get your tickets for that.
Indeed. It's not a WhatCulture thing, though. So.
My thing.
Do on your Twitter, then.
Yeah, I have done already. But in amongst all this, we should mention timeless Toni Storm and Alex Windsor. Toni Storm has sort of infected Alex Windsor with her double entendre, let's say.
Bawdy talk.
Indeed. Obviously Alex is in the four-way TBS title qualifier. And Tony's got the title match with Athena at Forbidden Yow. Storm said tonight is a menagerie of bruising, brawling bitches, something she used to dream of. If there's anything she knows about this non-sexual friendship with Windsor, it's that you can beat us down, but you can't beat us off.
Does it not beat us up?
Oh, I don't know.
Because you can beat this pussy up.
Oh, okay.
And you can beat, your cock off.
Good point.
Both work, to be fair.
Yeah. Windsor talks about giving lick back and says if Athena wants, Storm said if Athena wants to whip her John Hancock out and wet the ink, you can do it tonight. They're in Ohio. Tape up your tits and tango, and they dance out of frame whilst Renee tries not to corpse, let's be honest.
Yeah. Toni Storm can get away with alliteration, which is it's very difficult to get away with that. It really is. The only other thing that springs to mind in terms of something I found really funny with alliteration, which I just don't like, is friend of the channel, Grapples Benno.
Hey.
Was one of the few people brave enough when Mercedes Money debuted in New Japan, and it wasn't a good angle, and it was incredibly flat, and the finish looked bad, and he criticized it. I think he said something along the lines of, can we all admit that was terrible? Because everyone felt it, but, at the time, I don't know if they still exist, but the Sasha stands were pretty terrifying at that point,
Mm-hmm.
And one of them called him a bitter bean-eating bastard.
Good stuff.
Amazing.
I tell you what.
Beano, more like.
Renee bloody earned her money on this show, didn't she? She was
everywhere.
everywhere.
This shop.
She was, earlier on in the day, she was there for the arrival of Mercedes.
Money.
She steps out with all of her titles.
The Ocho!
Chomping on a watermelon slice, chucks it to the side, and is complimented by Renee about all the titles and her all-in title match where she just fell short, of course. And how it was match of the year.
Match of the year.
And Moné tells Renee to not be such a mark.
I like how she's just adopted this as a new insult. I find it so funny when people get called marks.
Yeah. Especially by wrestlers.
Yeah.
And then we got... Sorry, Sid, I'm a bit thrown here by my notes. Is this a women's match in the first hour?
Apparently so. Just the one, though, as always.
Just the one, yeah.
Jesus, lads, come on, man.
On the breaks. So we have, as we mentioned, Queen Aminata, Skye Blue, Alex Windsor, and Billie Starkz to see who faces Mercedes at Forbidden Down for the TBS title. Athena's there with Starkz. Toni Storms were there with Windsor. Early on, I don't know why this tickled me so much. Skye Blue gets sort of ping-ponged between Aminata and Windsor, and she just goes, "Stop it!" and then gets dropped, obviously. Her and Starkz get sent to the outside. There was some chocolate kisses from Queen Aminata to Windsor.
Oh my god.
Dude.
Only because they only put that in because of the again corpsing from Taz after Excalibur said that she learned it at the Team Taz dojo.
Like Shivani's reluctance to call it. It's a good bit.
Yeah. Aminata gets taken to the outside by Blue, sends her into the steps.
I'm going to bury the commentators later.
Good. There's Aminata decks Blue with a pump kick on the apron after she'd hit a snap Hurricane Rana on Windsor and a knee in the ropes. There's a spinning neck breaker off the apron by Blue to Aminata. Windsor flies in with a senton. Starkz flies off the top onto the pile, takes us to a break. When we come back, Skye Blue tries for Code Blue.
Skye tries. Who's that?
Skye Blue tries.
I know who Skye Blue is.
Yeah, she tried for a Code Blue, but Windsor cut it off with a Blue Thunder Bomb. Blue. Starkz broke up the cover with a facebuster, but then gets hit with a pop-up powerbomb by Windsor for 2. There's a sharpshooter on Starkz, but Aminata just boots Windsor to slowly break it, and they both start nailing each other with forearms. They all 4 get into it with high kicks, and the stereo German suplexes for everyone to be down. Windsor cuts off Blue in the corner with an uppercut headbutt, looks for the superplex, but Blue counters with an avalanche Code Blue. Aminata breaks up the count with a big reverse DDT. Starkz comes in with a swanton. Poor Skye Blue takes all of that.
This sequence ruled, by the way.
Aminata hit a rolling suplex for 2 of her own. There was a chair set up at ringside by Blue. She wanted a Code Blue onto it, but Aminata blocked it. Blue just smashed her face off it instead. Windsor in the ring hits a discus lariat on Starkz. Athena goes to get in the ring, but Storm pulls her off. And Starkz tries for a brainbuster, but Windsor catches her with the Toni Storm big package for the 1-2-3. She qualifies for Forbidden Door for the TBS title match. After the match, Mercedes gets in there. She has to be helped getting into the ring and then subsequently taking off all the belts that's not the TBS title so she can sort of stand in Alex Windsor's face. It looks like Toni Storm possibly was about to attack Mercedes. She gets in the ring and looks ominous, but she gets hit with the O-face by Athena, and there's a Moné maker to Windsor from Mercedes, and a sort of weird acknowledgement between the two women who obviously had that banger around WrestleMania weekend.
This felt, and again, if only the parity existed, because this felt like a thriving, interconnected, hot women's division by the end, I will say that you could see some of the wrestlers in the match like really try to appeal to the crowd. Like, come on, we're grafting our asses off here. Give us some more goddamn noise. It was like a bit bleak the first, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes of like arms folded, go on, impress me, which is a bit like, come on, man. But then maybe that's just a problem of AEW's own doing. If you're going to continue week after week, month after month, year after year to depict women's wrestling in your promotion as what too often feels like an obligation. One a week, we have to. Bloody Wokes will kick off if we don't, you know? Then you're going to sort of generate these reactions, or rather lack of reactions, and you need to solve this problem once and for goddamn all. But the crowd eventually got worked into the match with some psychotic bumps, really nicely arranged sequences where the idea, and they mostly executed it, was to do move, save, move, save, move, and save. I thought the rhythm of this was great. I thought the physicality of it was really, really good. I mean, that code blue on the outside, that was really, really distractingly not great. To the point where it never looks amazing. So if you're trying to add an extra, more difficult tweak on the move, like the chair to the outside, like, get the basics of the move right and get it down, and so you can repeat it. So it's muscle
John Cena
memory.
can hit it.
Yeah, and he's absolutely arthritic at this point in the ring as John Cena. So that was like, it was the timing of it as well. It was when it was really deep down the stretch, and you're thinking, oh God. And then it took a while to get back into it. But no, the match ended up being really strong. But if you think about all the things that this gave you or asked of you or sort of made you want, I want to say it was deft. I loved the interactions in the ring between...
You called the winner?
Yep. I mean, it was fairly obvious with where the show's being held. And I think Windsor's great. I would have liked maybe Aminata because of the tenure. We talked about this on the preview.
Glad she was featured later.
Yes.
So they're not forgotten about it.
They've not forgotten about it. So maybe her time will come, and I've been given ample evidence that it will come. So, but no, Windsor in London makes sense. She was, again, really great. Like, that powerbomb looked like violent as all hell in this match. So I loved Aminata and Windsor. They were drawn together in this match as the two physical, stiff ass kickers teaming up to get the other two out of the way so that they could get on with the real business of winning the match. They fancied themselves to be the winners. They told you that story throughout. They were sort of like getting the measure of one another of, all right, okay, well, let's see who can land this suplex the hardest. We'll do it at the same time. A bit of like competitive spirit was blossoming between them two. The idea being that I think at some point they're going to have a match, and I think that's going to rock. It's going to be like proper face-melting physicality when they eventually do it. In the post-match scene, you get a tease of Toni and Windsor versus Mercedes and Athena. That could be something like an actual rare version of, can they coexist? They are telling you Toni versus Mercedes 2 is going to happen at some point. And again, after pinning her last week, this is really good build for the Forbidden Dow Women's World Title match, because it's like they are telling you this Athena has got Toni Storm's number.
Yeah.
Pinned her last week. Out of nowhere, face. The way that was all arranged was fabulous. There's so much to really sink your teeth into with this women's division at the moment, but you'll get a morsel a week, as always.
Renee Paquette following this is backstage with the Young Bucks, asking about Brodido and the success they've had, but they sort of blow this question off because they're not happy. They're sort of saying...
Because like Renee's like, they're so awesome.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with them? Because you're a bunch of losers right now.
They're not happy with the disrespect. So I suppose in your words, they would probably be saying,
where is my respect?
And they grab a stagehand, not happy about their entrances and what have you. And they've given this note that they want Justin Roberts to read to give them a proper introduction. And then in a sort of surreal, I know this was earlier on in the day, but in a surreal sort of viewing experience, that's it from me, Renee. Over to you, Renee. And Renee's in the ring following this for Cole Fletcher's TNT title celebration. He's out there with the Don Callis family by his side, and there's a table of titles as well out there with them. Renee talks about the hard-fought, gruesome battle against Dustin Rhodes and get well soon for his double knee replacement for Dustin Rhodes. But yeah, she gets cut off by Callis, who's immediately booed out of the building. He says, well, you must be wondering why I'm building the largest numerical faction in all of wrestling. Power! You want power in this now? Cast your eyes on the gold, and when you have gold, you control destiny. He brings up Okada's titles and now Fletcher's TNT title. Much like Okada put Kenny Omega on the shelf, Fletcher might have ended Dustin Rhodes' career entirely. Fletcher says that Rhodes got exactly what he deserved for stealing his moment at All In. A 60-year-old man doesn't deserve to be in the ring with a proto-star. And he's not the only favourite he's put on the shelf. We might never see Adam Cole again. Don't say that.
I mean, don't say it, but also say it, because that was a great heat line.
Yes, it was. Fletcher fulfilled his destiny by winning the TNT title, but now it's all about legacy. Callis said he knows Fletcher's going to be the greatest TNT champion of all time, and he spent the last few days slaving away on a painting. He still feel the paint under his fingers.
I love how he's now taking credit for them.
Yeah. And he's sort of, do you want to see it? Carl's like, I want to see it, Don. Let's see it. And he unveils a preposterous painting.
I love them.
I mean, we've seen sort of these things before with Omega, of course.
Yeah, when they were both in those blue jeans with the exact same physique.
I was going to say, arguably here he has a better physique than Carl Fletcher.
Yeah.
And they're kind of both wearing the TNT title, really.
Like Don Callis has got that. You know when fucking Triple H had them shoulders?
Yeah.
That were, he looked like a fucking box.
Yes.
Like the most ridiculous physique, and like it didn't even look good. You had like Callis depicted himself as having that physique.
Carl said it was the greatest gift he's ever received, and he owes all of his success to Don Callis. And he wants to do the family proud. And he announces his first TNT title defense will be Saturday on Collision. But he promises he'll be in TNT champion for a very, 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 very long time. This was outrageous, this picture.
I love the picture. The promo was really strong. Nothing to criticize about this whatsoever. I like the timing of it as well. AEW don't often do an amazing job of following up on key moments. They made it look like Kyle Fletcher is the future of pro wrestling. I still
Hang on, say that again. They made it look like what?
Kyle Fletcher was the future of pro wrestling.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
I still think that
Just listen to that audience.
Yeah.
Wrapped.
Or on the moon. I still think the TNT title is beneath him, but they've done it now. He's got it now.
Man's making the title, arguably.
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the point I was about to get to. If that TNT title has been essentially a worthless all year, maybe last. Other titles of like Orange Cassidy way back when, well, not way back when, dickhead, it was 2 years ago, but that international title reign just completely propelled it above the TNT. If Kyle Fletcher can restore the TNT title to former glories, and for the first year of its existence, it was booked magnificently well, what an unbelievable boon that would be for his career. If he can turn around when he's putting himself forward, and he should be, I want this, I want that. I want big main events. If he can lay claim to resuscitating the fortunes of the TNT title, like he's got such ammunition to go into any sort of production meeting or creative pitch and go, you need to go with me. So he looks like he's taking it upon himself as a challenge.
You've said before when we're talking about like pay-per-views, and we do bemoan the sort of number of matches on there, but like there's people in the company right now, some of them maybe due to more sort of legacy than actual in-ring work, who are like, well, you have to have them on the card. Fletcher's one who's always on there because you just, why would you not?
Send it.
Yeah.
He wants it.
Couple of things. Number one, you're right about this TNT title thing, and I would not have been, I wouldn't have moaned about it, but I'd been like, if they'd have announced a TNT title match to main event Dynamite in the last 6 months. It might even have happened, and I'd be like, now, absolutely, I'd buy that as a main event that you could build to throughout the show.
Yeah.
And number two, the TNT title became so forgettable that we'd be sitting here and talking about TNT title number one contenders matches, and I'd be like, I don't even remember right now without Googling who's the TNT champion. You're a lot more knowledgeable, I'd say, on AEW, so much so that we should arguably do some sort of quiz, maybe, about your knowledge.
Indeed.
AEW.
Maybe during on a really hot day, we should do that.
We have stuff banked for wacky summer. That's what we're saying here.
Have you got like a schedule mapped out for when the things are going out?
No, we're gonna try and knock that together in the next week because we're all right for next week, aren't we?
Should be.
And then it really kicks into gear. Fairly certain there's days where literally none of us would have been in the office, so it's not even like one person can just take a preview, a review, or whatever. But don't worry, we have lots of content available to go out in the coming weeks, so we'll be fine. Alicia 2 is backstage with Cope. He didn't know how to take Christian Cage's non-apology last week. He's not the only one. But he says it's clear that Cage has learned nothing. He continues to be an asshole. But everyone's got their own issues. But he's talked to Tony Khan. Obviously, he cannot be within 200 feet of FTR, but that works both ways. So he has asked TK for a match with Big Stoke. And he says, I can feel you shaking your head next to me. He says, FTR, do you break the restraining order or do you throw Stoke to the wolves? Or something along those lines of nonsense.
I know we're stepping on the dick of next week's preview. This match could be harrowing.
Stoke sold it well later, I'll say that.
He did. But, like, Cope could be entirely the wrong person to, like, laugh at and toy with Stokely Hathaway. Because the idea is you're meant to, like, do the black comedy, I might just kick his ass so badly that Stoke turns face as a result.
It's a bit like...
I'm honestly thinking of Brett versus Mr. McMahon here.
I was about to say this, yeah. Oh, leave him alone.
We'll see.
Yeah, but then, and again, sometimes we say you laugh and you go like, that's all you get, a little out the nose. Well, that's only one step away from stroking the hair back like he used to. So,
my God.
Target the vein, Stoke. That's what you need to go for.
Yeah, it's like the final boss is like weak point. That and the years between 2020 and 2025, of course, are a huge weak point of Adam Copeland. Sometimes dead is better.
Right, let's get to this awesome tag team title eliminator. It was Brodido. That's Bandito and Brody King, of course, if you're unaware. And the Young Bucks. I mean, we guessed, and we came somewhat close, but even we couldn't have guessed all this. So, as we mentioned earlier, they were frustrated with how they were presented, or have been presented. And they get their entrance, and it looks like everything's back to normal. They've got their Tron, and they're doing the thing down the middle with the screen that goes up. But it stops. It gets stuck, perhaps. So they have to effectively crawl underneath it, which kind of ruins the aura of that entrance, let's say. Justin Roberts has, of course, been handed this note, which he simply reads verbatim, but it's not the way they'd like to be described. It's them lambasting Roberts for not doing it properly. So they're like, you think you're smart, Roberts, ! And he's reading all the punctuation in there. He doesn't actually introduce them, basically. Then, as they are making their entrance, the pyro is Gilbert-esque.
Or Orange Cassidy-esque.
Or Orange Cassidy, yes, that's probably fairer. There's a really loud boom, but then like just one piece of pyro.
Like Revolution 2021.
A puff of smoke.
They should do that as an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Then obviously you can't do it with a ring, but try and make it look like Revolution 2021. Just as a nice little piss take of themselves.
Then we stop their usual entrance and go back to the sort of keyboard theme, Comic Sans thing, and the graphic appears on the screen introducing them as Max and Jeremy. Taz said this is inside baseball. Do you want to explain if people are unaware about this?
Indeed, yes. As the team in TNA, during a spectacularly ill-fated run in TNA, the Bucks went by Max and Jeremy Buck, Generation Me. It's a wild ride if you go on the cage match. Bear in mind, right, that like even Vince, who actually had to be told, I know brothers fight, ahead of doing the WrestleMania 10 match. But when he got it, he eventually got it. Even he knew if you're going to do matches or a match between family members, it should be a big deal. You should build towards it. You should make it feel like you've crossed a threshold just to entertain the idea. Like, it's come to this. Bloody hell. Make a bloody big deal of it. The Young Bucks have fought each other in TNA because it's, it was Russo. Well, the brothers falling out. No one will see that coming, because it should be a big deal. And they had 2 matches, I think, on Explosion, which was the B show, and considering TNA Impact itself was a H show, then, it's not exactly big billing. And both matches, I think, in under 10 minutes combined.
Just trying to find some of their matches from TNA on Cage Match, and I've stumbled across the house show loop where they consistently lost to the team of the Band, Eric Young and Kevin Nash. There's a TNA World Tag Team title match that they're in. Unfortunately, they lose it via DQ. They also lose because it's a handicap match, and Matt Morgan is the sole champion. What?
It's TNA, buddy. It's TNA for you.
There's quite a few people on that roster now in AEW that are just like, what were they doing with you in TNA? I mean, Okada's the obvious one, obviously.
I will say, not that anything could be excused creatively from that era of TNA. Like, it's not as if they fumbled the great Young Bucks, because at the time, the Bucks hadn't begun to discover the act and the attitude with which they would kind of take over pro wrestling. So it's not as if they got, TNA signed Roman Reigns and they've done whatever. It wasn't quite like that, but it was still diabolical.
That were diabolical as well. They also lost a 2-on-1 handicap gauntlet to Doug Williams in 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Incredible. I mean, Jesus, brain dead TNA. But deep down, they are probably ecstatic that it went that way.
Yeah.
Because it was the TNA run and the stories of that going so badly for them forced them to reassess. Right, okay, we need to do something with our careers here because this is not going well at all.
The day after that match, by the way, they worked TNA Explosion in a tag match against Homicide and a wrestler called Okada, it says here. And that match, you think about the talents in that match now. Granted, like you say, it's a different time. That match got a whole 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
Magic.
Anyway. They rush King on the apron, but Bandito hits him with a tornillo to start us off as the crowd chant jobbers at the Bucks. I can't remember where it was. I don't think I've noted it down here, but there was a point where Brody King just kicked their ass on the outside and got the sign.
Yeah.
Just held it up just to really rub it into them. King comes in and just mows them down. Bandito is assisted with a huge moonsault onto them to the outside. That wasn't arguably even the best assisted dive at this point for Bandito in this match. Bucks get set down on a chair against the barricade and squished against it as we go to our first break of the match. When we come back, the Bucks make some sort of a comeback. They hit a springboard Hurricane Rana on Brody King. Bandito gets sent to the outside. Assisted sliced bread into a running boot, gets a near fall. Matt Jackson wants more.
This is awesome.
Wants more bang for your buck, but he collapses due to the weight of Brody King on his back. And so King nails Nick in midair with a forearm, brings Bandito in. Nick hit his slingshot facebuster and a comeback moonsault to the floor onto Brody King. They hit an assisted swanton for 2. King gets low-bridged after making a save. Matt hit a blockbuster off the apron.
Bloodbuster.
And Nick connected on an escalera onto Bandito. We go into another break here. When we come back, they can't decide what to call the EVP trigger. And they take so long arguing with this. They don't hit Bandito with it. He dodges it and makes the hot tag to King, who just wrecks him.
Before I forget, what I loved about this was there was a bit of irony here. The Young Bucks at the minute are so dialed in. They're clearly loving their work, and people are loving it right back. This is the most they've felt in form consistently anyway since 2021. They've been fabulous. I love how they're overflowing with ideas, right? But the gag here is that they're running out of them. And it was Young Bucks trigger.
Yes, so lazy.
Stupidest, laziest name possible because they're such morons at the minute. I've got a shoot name for this, by the way.
Ooh.
KTB trigger. Because BTE, EVP, KTB.
Killing the business, yeah.
Killing the business, yeah. So that's what they should eventually arrive at for the call and response element, if not
JOB
else.
trigger.
That's amazing. That is incredible.
I'll tweet him. We can take some credit for that. This was the bit where we got the...
And then they'll think, where do I know that guy's face?
Son of a bitch.
WCPW, is it? No. Not after that experience.
King used the ropes to add extra height to a springboarding Bandido. I'm just moving out of your way to hit the button here.
Oh my god.
This spot was so magnificent. This is the one where, like, Bandido, in my head, he springs up about 8 feet in the air and then just does the rotation at the last second. Unbelievable high spot this. And it's so hard to do one these days as well because you've seen everything. I've seen everything.
Nick gets his knees up, though, when they go back inside, and Matt takes advantage. Hits a facebuster on Bandido, but gets crotched in the corner by King, and a huge superplex following that. They try the double team catapult monkey flip, but Bandido just eats it, basically. There's a super kick party from the
That was a
Bucks.
bit ugly.
Yeah. They hit their bounce back double stomp on Bandido. TK driver connects, but King just breaks up the count. I was into this at this point. I was like, I really want Brodido to win this match. I was into the near falls.
They did such a great job of making you want it.
Matt hits Bandido with a DDT on the apron, tries the same on Brody King, who just catches him and hits him with a Death Valley driver instead. But Nick saves his brother.
Some of these apron bumps were sickening.
Insane.
They were awesome.
Nick saves his brother with a tornado DDT off the apron. And then Nick and Bandido fight on the barricade. Nick hits a super kick, and Bandido runs at Bandido, and he press slams Nick onto his brother while standing on the barricade. They go back inside. There's the X-knee on Matt, the 21 plex, but Nick breaks it up, and I thought, oh, that was it. We're going to have that, and now Bucks are going to win. But King wipes out Nick with a tope. Bandido hits an avalanche fall-away slam on Matt for 2. There's a senton from King, and they manage to hit the monkey flip 450 splash to get the 1, 2, 3 and the victory. They are heading to the final to face FTR next week, I believe.
Yeah, that monkey flip 450 thing.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. Like, Bandido should not be able to rotate as quickly as he does and as accurately as he gets the landing. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Like this physical, impossible, awesome move. You ever seen a little-known motion picture called Titanic?
Yeah, I literally watched that recently.
Why?
It was just on, and I was at the mother-in-law's house. So it's like, what are we going to watch?
Yeah, what else are you going to do? Yeah. I remember...
Oh, good, it's the painting scene.
I bet you love that, you dirty old bollocks.
Yeah. Bonjour. Hang like one of your French girls.
Right. There is a scene in Titanic which is... I can't believe that, you know, with such a massive undertaking, like, what was it, the biggest budget ever at the time?
Felt like it, yeah.
It was close to it. Or like a massive, massive, massive picture. The way this all sorts of works in Hollywood is there's like... It's not as if it's just this auteur project that James Cameron can just go, there, I've got final cut, boom, here you go. There must be relentless scrutiny of like, this has to be perfect. So there's probably loads of major big shot execs watching it, looking at like the rough cuts and da-da-da-da. How on earth did the scene where that guy, was he hit the propeller?
There's a couple. There's one where he hits the propeller, and there's one where he hits, like, I think, like a chimney or something.
And then goes...
Or there might actually be a railing as well that he flips around.
Someone gets hit off something on the way down as the ship's, like, exploding in half. And goes... I had to piss myself every single time. It's like,
I was watching out for it. I was like, when's it coming? When's it coming?
Don't make the tragic death scenes in your massive epic about one of the all-time big disasters in living history. Don't make me laugh at it. But what's so funny is it looks like this elasticized dude is just being completely pummeled and just moving in a way that is so physically impossible. It's just funny. Just don't do that.
We need the CGI budget to make a guy look like he's doing it yet.
Yeah.
720 off the top.
Brodido is so incredible that he does that in real life. Unbelievable. I will say about this match, right? How do I best describe this? This was the best, most uneven match I can remember seeing in a long time. And what I mean by that is I don't think it needed to go through 2 advert breaks.
Mm-hmm.
The momentum and the flow got disrupted. There was a lull about halfway through, and not everything they attempted came off perfectly. Like the initial monkey flip into the 450 with the knees up, that took a while to sort of set up and arrive at, to the point where
when they repeated it, I was like, oh, don't do this spot again.
Yeah, by the time they were setting it all up, it's like, well, Brodido just looks like an idiot because clearly the knees are going up if they weren't already up. So I was feeling a little bit like, get on with it. And internally in my head, I broke my own rule, and that is never, ever doubt the Young Bucks, ever. They are going to 999 times out of 1,000 deliver something that's a minimum of 4 stars. That's just how great they are. But I was breaking my rule because I'm thinking, dragging a bit, clunky at points. Yeah, the job at chance are getting over, but then when they die down, the atmosphere is a little bit. And then the last 5 minutes of this match are absolutely sensational, like unbelievable. If you edited this like a little bit more, took some minutes off it, and it wasn't a little bit clunky in parts, like this would be a TV match of the year candidate. It wasn't quite there for me. I still think Jet Speed versus the Bucks was the superior match. But then the last 5 minutes of this was so electrifying. Some of the bumps were so gnarly. The drama and the emotion was so, like, palpable that I can understand why people would put them as, like, they would debate between these two as the best Young Bucks TV match of the year, you know? Because these last 5 minutes, again, like the bumps on the apron, the saves, how last second there were, the near falls, and more importantly, because this sometimes gets lost in a lot of modern wrestling matches, but they orchestrated that desire for the baby faces to win like magnificently well. And that just added a different dimension to this, that I think that might be the reason people are raving about this, where I'm probably a little bit lower than the consensus, at least I saw on Twitter. But man, those last 5 minutes were outrageous.
I'd have Brodido go to Forbidden Door, to be honest. I have an idea as to how that happens.
I think Hurt Syndicate would as well, by the sounds of things.
I have an idea as to how that happens, but I'll save that for the preview next week. I'll just mention here, in case I forget next week, because I mentioned it to Andy on the news. Following this, they're spiraling, aren't they? The books, as you mentioned, it's all gone to pieces since they lost the EVP status. I genuinely think they should lose to a jobber tag team going forward. Maybe even next week. Maybe even say, you think we're jobbers? Here's some jobbers. And I don't mean like a lower level AEW team. I mean literal local enhancement talent.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the Bucks would be able to pull that off so well too.
You mentioned the Hurt Syndicate there. We get a recap of the awful things that MJF has said, and the build to this feud between MJF and Mark Briscoe. And then Renee's there backstage with the Hurt Syndicate. My word, what a suit Shelton Benjamin was wearing here. Jesus. White suit looked amazing. MVP congratulates Brodido for winning their match and says, look, we'll be happy to hurt them or FTR at Forbidden Door. MJF walks in and Lashley and Benjamin just walk straight out. Said MVP's known me since you've known me since I was 18 years old. We don't need Shelton and Bob. We can win the AEW World title together. MVP said, you just don't get it, kid. We hurt people. And ever since you joined, it's all about me, your ego. And MVP gives him a thumbs down, seemingly finally confirming the departure of MJF from the Hurt Syndicate. Still not buying it, to be honest. But MVP said, out of respect, they're going to leave him healthy so he can challenge for the world title, but he better hope he loses that title match, because if he wins, that means Lashley's going to be coming after him, and you don't want that. And MVP walks off. MJF is lost, and get a camera out of my face.
I continue to be baffled, but not intrigued by this, because it feels done, and they are making you think it's done. But if it was done, why do they keep telling you over and over it's done?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that they keep shooting segments between MJF and the Hurt Syndicate every single week, when if this was a pivot and they just had different ideas and it didn't work out as they imagined and thought, let's just kind of move on from this, they would have actually moved on from this. So it's definitely one that piques my interest every single week. If this is a cahoots thing, the idea of them planting the idea of an MJF Bobby Lashley match is quite something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like with the minds involved with this, it feels. I'm hoping that we're. I mean, if it is just done here, I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's weird.
Have we? You could have at least done something where he's like, I've got the contract now, so I don't really need the Hurt Syndicate anymore. I've got this, as he said, sort of insurance policy. Yeah, I just angle up.
Something's up.
Then Alicia 2's backstage with Stokely and FTR. Dax says they know what Cope's doing. They did what they did to him, they did for his family. Cash says, Stokes, you don't have to be there next week. But now we can't be responsible for what Stoke does to you. Stokely's got the crutch, obviously. He says he's injured, calls Cope a bully. He says, look, I may be short, bald, and can't get any hose, but I've been fighting for my entire life.
Amazing. I love that.
And then he said, after the fight next week in Cincinnati, Cope's going to head back home to his wife, who's got the head of a micro brawler. Dax corpses at this point. And the wife who's got the head of a micro brawler and his future juvenile delinquent kids, having to tell them that Big Stoke pinned him in the ring. Top guy's out.
Fantastic stuff, this. Fantastic. I can't, but I'm rooting for Stoke, though.
Yeah.
It's the wrong way around.
I don't think I've ever rooted for Stoke, and that covers all the ground that would cover. Funny when they used to play Arsenal, actually, because they like Arsenal, will you play fancy football? We've got Rory Delap. We just chuck it in the box, and they don't like it up them, do they? Your defenders.
Stoke versus Woke. That's what it was.
There is a video package on Okada and Swerve ahead of Forbidden Door, of course, for the unified title. Okada said talking isn't necessary. Don says this doesn't need to be a street fight. Let's keep between the ropes. Who's the best in the world? And Okada said it's his house, bitch. But then, whose house? Swerve's house. Renee welcomes Swerve out into the arena with Prince Nana, of course, ahead of their appearance at Sweet Chin Disco and Forbidden Door as well. Swerve said he is not concerned about the Don Callis family, as the unified title rules mean there's no outside interference. He said, last year I put down a good friend at Forbidden Door in Will Ospreay. So what do you think I'm going to do to Okada, basically? Look, his accolades are all true. But while some say Okada's a once-in-a-generation talent, there will never be another Swerve Strickland. When Okada stared at Swerve in his eyes, he saw nothing, whilst Strickland saw death. He put the fear of God into Okada. This isn't a big match for AEW or the wrestling world. It's one for Okada, who has to face the most dangerous man in AEW. It's also about redemption for Swerve, who's lost twice in London. It's now time to defeat the Japanese legend and stand over the defeated body of Kazuchika Okada, whilst Don Callis cries like a little bitch. And everyone's going to scream and chant as Swerve holds up his new title. Whose house? Swerve's house.
I thought this was sensational, mate. I thought this was sensational.
It's a great promo, yeah.
And one of the reasons why I loved it so much is that if you actually examine the words or you saw them written down ahead of time and you went, oh, this is the promo Swerve's going to cut, I'd think, it's a bit generic. Okay, we'll go with this. The conviction with which he said all of this, the confidence, it's weird, Swerve can almost at this point turn it off and on like a tap. He's had a good year, but it wasn't as good as last year. And there are rumblings of, has he lost his edge or whatever, with this whole fighting for AEW thing and stuff, and now softening in the presence of Hangman Page, and he just came off like one of the biggest superstars in all of pro wrestling with this promo without even saying that much, which is the key thing about it, is when you are that much of a star and when you have that much of the cool factor, you don't necessarily have to say something incredibly poetic or quotable or badass. He just said some things that a lot of other wrestlers say, and yet he just carried himself so well.
Has to win for me.
Swerve?
Yeah.
No, Okada has to win.
But I'm not a fan of Okada, I'll be honest. In terms of we talk about it on another one of our wacky summer parts.
Indeed. Do we?
Yeah.
Which one?
Wrestlers we did on 180 on.
Oh, yeah.
Alicia 2's backstage with Mark Briscoe ahead of the main event. He says the time for words is behind us. The day of atonement of MJF is here. I love that line. Time to pay for your sins. 2 reminds him that if he wins, that's tonight. It's his 4th straight main event win. Could easily put him in line for a title shot, which is when Hangman Page walks in and says, look, we've known each other for a long time. I've always admired you, but what you've done over the past few years has made my respect even stronger. And he hopes that he wins and gets the world title shot, and he wishes him luck and shakes his hand. And then Renee's backstage with Queen Aminata, disappointed obviously not to win their 4-way. Willow comes in and gives her a hug, says they'll handle business this weekend with Tay Mello to take on the Triangle of Madness. Statlander comes in, and
it's weird.
It was weird. It was weird. She's sort of faux happy, is the best way of putting it, I suppose.
Disingenuous.
Yes. Speech, Willow. Willow says, you claim you've moved on, but you've done everything but that, basically. I show up, I smile, I straighten up anyone in my way. Once you're able to do that, Kris, maybe we can talk then. And then Statlander threw, petals, confetti in Willow's face and ran away.
I am done with this. I think individually, Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander are totally fantastic professional wrestlers who AEW should be doing considerably more with. This bizarre off on frenemies thing that they're doing with them, which seems to just crop up in intervals, isn't working for me one bit whatsoever. If I've got the book here, I'm hurriedly booking some kind of match for Dynamite or Collision or whenever. Certainly not a pay-per-view at this point, even though they've had a fantastic one on pay-per-view before. Just very hurriedly booking a match where they build it a week before, because this doesn't deserve the saga treatment. No. It does not deserve the saga treatment. Where they hurriedly book a match, the idea being is, look, you're pissing me off, I'm pissing you off. Let's just settle this in the ring. Have the match, shake hands, they're both baby faces. You know? Statlander as a heel never worked because realistically, everyone thinks she's awesome.
Yeah.
Willow Nightingale is it's like 15 Ricky Steamboats. You're just simply not ever going to turn her heel. So, and it's just not a good story. Every time they have these verbal interactions, I don't feel any emotion whatsoever. There's no animosity there. It's all a bit neggy. Feels like NXT segments on AEW TV with this sort of that. I'm not saying it because I think it's what it is. It's how NXT's creative books the women. They're having bitchy backstage talk segments.
I wouldn't say it was that good, but I was trying to work out what's been going on with them over the recent weeks and months. And the only thing I could think of was, there's that talk a while back of we were going to bring in some women's tag titles, and then I don't know, I can't remember what's happened.
Yeah.
Were they maybe going to be right, we'll keep this frenemies thing going, and then you can sort of be the first tag champions? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of in my head as to why this has sort of been
why they're still at it.
Yeah. So, but then again, why are they doing it here now? If that's we'll put that on there.
I just don't like it. Kris Statlander comes off horrendously on TV at the moment. Get her in that ring as a goddamn baby face. Keep it simple, stupid. She's awesome.
The problem there you have is they'd already had the women's match on this show, so they couldn't have done it.
Yeah, sadly.
Main event of the evening, MJF versus Mark Briscoe. Effectively a number one contenders match, I suppose. It wasn't confirmed as much and certainly not mentioned post-match with what happened here. But very early on, MJF has to avoid a J-Driller and a Froggy Bow and a dive. So he just runs into the crowd and throws a fan's hat at Briscoe. They brawl into the stands. They brawl back to ringside. Briscoe hit a neck breaker off the barricade before setting up a table, which I completely forgot about until miles later in this match. Briscoe, the story of this match is Briscoe wants the Froggy Bow, of course, because it happened a lot. MJF, though, just for this first one, used Bryce as a shield, got an eye poke, and choked away in the corner. We go to a break. When we come back, Bryce catches, I'll always love this spot. Bryce catches MJF using the ropes for the abdominal stretch and just kicks it free. That allows Briscoe to hit a hip toss and fire up. He hits a flying forearm, an exploder. Again, third time, MJF avoids the froggy bow, rolling to the floor. Briscoe meets him there with an elbow, though. They go back inside. Another froggy bow avoided. This time, instead, Briscoe flies in with a somersault dive. Puts MJF on the table, but MJF runs back into the ring, hits a super kick and an Alabama slam. Gets him in a
brutal lad.
Yeah, gets him in a Boston Crab. He wants the Heat Seeker. Mark Briscoe avoids that. Tries for another froggy bow, but MJF crotches him. Wants the Avalanche Tombstone. Thankfully, Briscoe fights out of that. Bites his forehead.
Really sorry, because I will forget, the tension surrounding that spot was really, really well done. They measured it by the second, I would say. They totally measured it to perfection.
For the sixth time, Briscoe goes for the froggy bow. This time he hits it and gets a 2 count. They battle out to the floor. MJF gets put on a table, but moves, and poor Mark Briscoe crashes and burns through the exploding table. MJF is more than happy to win by countouts here.
One of the better teasers I've seen in some time, this.
Briscoe just beats the count. He did a nice collapse at 8, didn't he?
Yeah, it was pretty much a collapse at like 8.9.
Yeah.
Goes through a bit of the debris of the table, and then 9, and he's still lying down. So well done.
Yeah, some of these ones, you're always like, okay, get in. We all know what's happening here. And also, this immediately led to the finish because he breaks the count, gets back in. MJF hits a Heat Seeker and gets the 1, 2, 3, but Bryce Remsburg, great referee normally, but missed the foot on the ropes from Mark Briscoe.
This is why Shafir shouldn't have bothered.
Didn't even put those two together. It'd be fine. He won't see it. He missed, Mark Briscoe had his foot on the ropes, which obviously MJF quickly removes before the referee can see it.
His facial expressions were like, it's like that Homelander thing of,
yes, quick, raise my hand.
Yeah.
And post-match, in my head, maybe just because I like MJF and I do this sort of mental gymnastics, in my head, I mean, it's Mark Briscoe. He's always going to beat him down. He hates him, clearly, and he's just put him through all this. But there's also a bit that thinks MJF's so smart that he thinks, well, if I just stand here and celebrate, Bryce Remsburg is going to look at the screen and be like, oh, his foot was on the ropes. We'll restart this match. But if he immediately goes into a beatdown of Mark Briscoe, that's not by the by sort of thing. So, he beats down Briscoe, puts on the beautiful diamond ring, clobbers him with it, blood all over his face when he's slumped in the corner following this. The world champion Hangman Page walks out. The fight's on. You have to be pulled apart by security. MJF bails through the crowd. Page checks on Mark Briscoe. MJF was yelling from the crowd. He also had it on a knee pad, I think, saying that he did nothing wrong. Yeah. This time he says, obviously, this is all Page's fault. So Page runs through the crowd and the fight kicks off again. Page drops some security, chucks MJF back to ringside, sets up for the buckshot, but MJF bails while still celebrating his, like I say, presumed number 1 contendership to close out this show.
I thought this was a very, very, very good main event. When I say very, very, very good, I usually mean there's 1 or 2 reasons why I'm not saying great, tremendous, magnificent, whatever, right? I have contended for a couple of weeks now that I don't think it's sudden, this Mark Briscoe thing. And I think MJF and belatedly Tony Khan have done a great job recently of giving you what you want. People have said for ages, like, we're not the only ones who've wanted Mark Briscoe to be a central character in AEW, and for him to be less of the guy who's happy to be there. And, you've got a magnificent, at a minimum, pay-per-view world title challenger on your hands, in Mark Briscoe, who's got a rare gift, like a rare wrestler with pure soul. And now you're putting him up against someone who doesn't have one, a sociopath, an MGF. What I'm saying is like, maybe they've taken a little bit too long, and the stigma's going to take a little bit longer to shift from Mark Briscoe, even though that is the basic thrust of this story, is that they are wanting you to tell you how the stigma's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I half expected, in fact, no, I fully expected there to be a bit more sense of emotion cloaking all of this. I think it was a really, really well-worked match with a great story, which I'll delve into imminently. I don't know, I just expected, after all the things MJF said to Mark Briscoe, and the sheer sentiment surrounding Mark Briscoe and the relationship Mark Briscoe has with these fans, I thought there'd be a little bit more volume to that noise, that sense of they're living and dying with Mark Briscoe in there. I didn't quite get that. I thought this was going to be like really super intense in that building. The good news is that they're clearly doing another one, that this result will surely drive that sense of emotion for the next encounter, because he's just been cheated out of it by MJF and bloodied up in the aftermath. And no, there was just an emotional dimension to this match where I thought, it's missing a little bit, you know. The actual story they told was magnificent, and how it all built to that big table spot, which, by the way, I can't remember the last time a table exploded quite so satisfyingly. Like, it just went poof, and then there was like it was almost like a sparkler shower of these tiny bits of debris. It looked fantastic. I love the idea of MJF, one, because it builds the anticipation of the movie. Still has got that acute grasp of the little things of, like, when he hits that froggy bow, which I see almost every single week, but this time it's like, that's the kill shot. I need to run away. I need to dodge it. I need to crawl away. But at the same time, what he's doing, he's masking that strategy. Like, they're giving you delayed gratification of, I need to see that froggy bow, and he's lulling him. MJF is lulling Briscoe into doing it. And I'm like, he's got away this many times. I keep getting closer every time. Now when he's literally draped helplessly across that table, I've got him right where I want him. No. Excellent plot twist in that match. So I thought the story told was fantastic. Like, how many times he got so near and yet so far. And the idea, because this is a great first match, is that they are building a massive spot for the sequel, which you'd expect it to be stepped up. They're going to do MJF goes through the table, and that's going to result in a great near fall. So really good architecture, but I'm thinking more about what they can do in the next match and how cleverly constructed this one was, when surely the whole idea would be you're meant to be feeling, yes, the babyface is going to get his hands on the heel. But I still live in hope for this sequel that they're going to do, and this is really well done as a building block for a better match. I said earlier, I'm shocked I remember, I'm going to bury the commentary team, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, I do watch this bleary-eyed at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so maybe at a certain point I'll go, we were in break for that, because I'm watching it on Triller where you don't see the commercial breaks. So sometimes I'd forget that they're in commercial, because it's just the way the international feeds work, right? There is a bit, and it's early in the match, I guess, in fairness, when Excalibur and Taz or Schiavone, but, you know, they're talking about, I can recommend a local Italian restaurant. I don't care if it's minute 1 in a match premised like this. Stop trivializing it. Stop having these nice chats, these asides you can have between yourselves. I know some AEW fans find this charming, that, you know, they're a little bit more relaxed and loose with the commentary team. And don't they have some funny chemistry? And they say funny things to and at each other. Not during this match, goddammit. Like, it's your main event. It is premised on the idea that MJF has told Mark Briscoe, the beloved Mark Briscoe, that you are a disgrace compared to your deceased brother, who you can never stand. You can only ever stand in this guy's shadow, right? It's they call it this on the goddamn match graphic, main event grudge match. And you've got Excalibur talking about Italian restaurants early in this general, like, really trivial tone with which commentary is approached in AEW. Like, I said this was a big problem. Like, the booking was a bigger problem, but quite a big problem during the Death Riders thing. The idea, and, you know, the Young Bucks were like, you know, on this reign of terror as EVPs. The idea is meant to be, fuck, this company is under threat by these completely violent sociopaths who are trying to kind of kill it and create it in their own image, and they don't even care about it. They don't think there's any kind of feeling, and they are just being violent bastards, right? How can you tell that story when the commentators are having the friggin' time of their lives yucking it up? Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Like, if this promotion Put it this way, every single episode that passes, even the ones like this where I think genuinely really good stuff, really strong. Every passing day, you get a renewed appreciation for just how good peak Jim Ross was at his job and just how necessary it was. Like, I'm telling you now, if AEW had a peak Jim Ross commentator, you'd go from, I think it's an 8 out of 10 promotion at the minute. 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's always been able to peak at a 10. All in Texas peaked at a 10, you know. At the minute for me, it's a 7.5, 8 out of 10 company. I reckon it could be bumped up to a 9 without a Jim Ross. This commentary team just winds me up at the minute.
Aside from that, a really enjoyable episode of
really
AEW
good,
Dynamite.
Real goddamn good.
Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section below or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there. You can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow our producer Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.